When a wrestler leaves WWE, they usually have a lot of negative things to say about their time in the company. Wrestlers can be unhappy with creative and unhappy with the amount of television time they received, or simply, they could have just hated their co-workers. However, when a wrestler leaves WWE and does nothing but badmouth them, it seriously damages the once positive relationship between the two parties. Additionally, if a wrestler leaves WWE and goes to a rival promotion such as AEW, this could also damage a relationship and completely burn the bridge that was once so strong. But which wrestlers are persona non grata in the WWE? Well, join us now as we look at 10 wrestlers who really burnt their bridges with WWE. Number 10. Chris Jericho. After being in the WWE for nearly 20 years, Jericho decided in 2018 that he wanted to explore something different. Chris Jericho, a well-known wrestler, decided to join a new wrestling company called All Elite Wrestling, AEW. This was a big choice for him because he felt loyal to Vince McMahon, who runs WWE. When he told Vince about joining AEW, Vince wasn't happy and even suggested Jericho should break the contract. Jericho said no, and Vince seemed upset about it. After he signed with AEW, WWE didn't want their wrestlers on Jericho's podcast, and they removed him from their videos. Jericho said on a podcast that he feels like WWE has practically banned him just because he chose to work with a different wrestling company. Vince McMahon even doesn't want anyone talking about Jericho's finishing move called the Code Breaker during WWE matches.
Unintended. Oh, my gosh! Samoan bulldozer. Oh, Jericho!
It seems like a big deal just because Jericho decided to join another wrestling group, not because he did something wrong. Even with the most times holding the Intercontinental Champion title, it doesn't seem to make much of a difference. Number 9. Shane Douglas. Many past WWE wrestlers have returned to patch things up with Vince McMahon, even after leaving on bad terms. Jeff Jarrett, The Ultimate Warrior, and plenty others have done it. But there's one wrestler, Shane Douglas, who probably won't ever do the same. Douglas worked in WWE twice, once from 1990 to 1992, and then again from 95 to 96, but neither time was particularly impressive. In 96, Douglas joined ECW, and later in 1999, he moved to WCW. He had successful runs in both, and became a respected mid-level talent. In the early 2000s, WWE brought in Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit, and Perry Saturn. They thought about adding Douglas to this group, but plans changed. Some backstage didn't like Douglas from his previous times in WWE. Shawn Michaels might have been one of those people. After Douglas moved to WWE after they bought WCW in 2001, he gained a reputation for constantly criticizing WWE, Vince McMahon, and their top stars in every interview he gave. At one point, he crashed Raw to begin an ECW chant and get some attention, but he got kicked out, and it didn't make a big fuss. Number 8. Brody Lee. He went by two names, Brody Lee or Luke Harper, during his time in WWE. Every time it looked like WWE was going to do something big with him, they changed their plans suddenly. In late 2019, he left WWE and then joined All Elite Wrestling using his old name, Brody Lee. Soon after leaving WWE, Lee spoke on Talk is Jericho and criticized almost the entire company, along with Vince McMahon's old-fashioned approach to creativity. This made WWE officials and Vince unhappy. Even when Lee joined AEW, his character often made fun of Vince, imitating the way he dresses and eats. After those funny videos aired, WWE wasn't happy. They thought it was disrespectful, and it might have messed up things between Lee and the company. But when Lee talked to Wrestling Inc., he said something interesting. He mentioned that in wrestling, it's tough to completely break ties. If you're a big deal in the ring, WWE will probably still be interested in working with you. Number 7. Jon Moxley. When Jon Moxley, previously known as Dean Ambrose, left in 2019, he had a very unpleasant departure. Moxley was fed up with WWE and their creative approach, and he just wanted to leave, regardless of the amount of money they offered him. Like many others, Moxley shared his frustrations with WWE on the Talk is Jericho podcast. He mentioned being thankful for his time there, but pointed to a moment when Vince McMahon gave him a promo on Raw that completely ruined his character as the breaking point. The promo mentioned diseases, suggesting Ambrose feared catching them from fans. He felt drained after struggling for 6 years with character ideas. Moxley said WWE's creative process made him sick. Reports said many officials agreed, but Vince had a different reaction. Number 6. Jordan Myles. Jordan Myles started strong in NXT, winning the breakout tournament and being seen as a rising star. However, in October 2019, WWE released a controversial t-shirt for him. The design, with Myles' name inside a mouth shape resembling the Rolling Stones logo, faced criticism as it appeared similar to blackface. WWE apologized and altered the shirt, mentioning Myles had okayed the original design. Myles then accused WWE of racism in a series of tweets. Jordan Myles mentioned that he felt Ring of Honor and some of their wrestlers were racist toward him while he worked with them. Myles got backlash for his comments on a t-shirt. Others felt it was unfair to involve more names. He later uploaded a video expressing quitting WWE and calling it racist. A week later, Myles was let go from his WWE contract, and WWE never talked about it again. Number 5. Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner's time in WWE from 2002 to 2003 wasn't great. Injuries and struggles to keep up with younger talent led to a disappointing run, marked by forgettable matches. After leaving WWE, Steiner would frequently criticize Triple H and Stephanie McMahon in nearly every interview he gave. He's in wrestling because he married the boss's daughter, so he took advantage of everything he could and beat everyone from WCW. They treated everyone poorly, even though wrestling is a small community. Now, it's coming back to hurt them. They would love to have half the ratings they had during the Monday Night Wars. Steiner was banned from the WWE Hall of Fame in 2015 due to personal issues with Hulk Hogan. The WWE was afraid he might act inappropriately at the ceremony. Number 4. Cody Rhodes. When Cody Rhodes left WWE in 2016, WWE thought he would just work on the independent wrestling scene and maybe come back in the future. They didn't expect Cody to become vice president at All Elite Wrestling. In 2019, Cody discussed Triple H's reaction to his leaving WWE, saying, "Hunter felt hurt because he helped my dad at NXT. He was surprised I left after all he did for my family. But I explained, I'm not my dad. I can't stay just because of what you did for him." After AEW started, Cody started criticizing WWE. Cody did a thing where he broke a chair that looked like one Triple H uses. It got people talking online. Also, he helped decide to put AEW Dynamite on TV at the same time as NXT, starting a big rivalry between the shows. Number 3. CM Punk. CM Punk leaving WWE was a big deal. After the 2014 Rumble, he walked away and hasn't been on WWE TV much since, except for WWE Backstage. He did this famous interview with Colt Cabana later that year, and it caused a lot of talk in wrestling. He shared that WWE allowed him to wrestle, even while he was really sick, with a possibly life-threatening staph infection. He also talked about being frustrated with how things worked, and had issues with both Vince McMahon and Triple H. On his wedding day, he shared he got fired. This got Triple H and Vince really angry. Reports said Triple H was furious, wanting to confront Punk. Vince was mad too, but not as much. Looks like Triple H is really upset, closing any chance of Punk returning to WWE. Number 9. Enzo Amore. Enzo and Big Cass had a lot of potential together. They were really popular, especially Enzo, who was great at talking on the mic. Enzo faced a tough time in WWE because many wrestlers didn't like him, so it was difficult for WWE to pair him with others for matches. His time in WWE came to a sudden stop in late 2017 when he was accused of sexual assault. Enzo didn't tell WWE about this, so they let him go right away. After that, he did interviews where he criticized WWE a lot. In 2018, they tried to crash Survivor Series, but it didn't work. Recently, the Elite revealed that Enzo is banned from appearing in the WWE Thunderdome, so it seems like there's no chance of reconciliation. And number 10, Ryback. Ryback had a great start in WWE, mirroring Goldberg's winning streak. However, things went downhill when there were concerns about his safety in the ring. Because of this, he slid down the lineup and eventually left in 2016 due to contract disagreements. Ryback hasn't said anything positive about WWE or Vince McMahon in years. He's made some wild claims, like saying he was meant to easily beat AJ Styles at WrestleMania 32 and was supposed to win the WWE title before leaving. He's also had legal fights with WWE over his name. Ryback may never return to WWE. He's like Enzo, banned from the WWE Thunderdome. These wrestlers really cut ties with WWE. Tell us your thoughts below and subscribe for more.